Good morning. I'm Linda Callahan, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Society of Amherst. You can't hear me? You can't hear me? Yes. I use she, her pronouns. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old, in the Zoom and in the sanctuary. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1,000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. As part of our effort to seek feedback on the governance of our congregation, you are invited to join us during the first 15 minutes of any regular meeting of the board. The next one is April 23rd, a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Or you may chat with us during the social hour after the service, or you may use the email address board@uusocietyamherst.org. We are grateful to be in community with you. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jennie Mack, member of this congregation and today's worship leader. I use she, her pronouns. Reverend Rachel just started her sabbatical and will return in August. A cohort of us have been meeting throughout this year, working on sermons based on stories that we're excited to share with you. Today I'll be sharing the story Crow Not Crow by Jane Yolen and Adam Stemple, and thinking about how we learn from anger. While local COVID numbers are lower, masks are optional in the sanctuary. Please reserve the balcony section near the window for those who choose to wear masks. We are called to worship this morning with these words from Joan Javier Duval.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whether you have made promises, broke promises, or are renewing your promises.
You are beloved and you are welcome here.
Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment,
you are beloved and you are welcome here.
In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection, let us worship together.
I'm Robin Livingston, member of this congregation and today's worship associate. I use they, them pronouns. I invite you to say the chalice lighting words with me. We light this flame to invite a world of peace, where we heal the wounds, where we share what we have with one another, where justice is another word for relationship, and we listen for what love has to say. Please rise in body, in spirit, in all the ways we do to sing hymn 100, Peace Like a River. We will sing the verses peace, love, pain, and strength. And if you know the motions for it and would like to do them, please do.
I've got love like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow. I've got pain like an arrow in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul.
All right, I'd like to invite the children to come forward if they'd like to. It's out of the way. What? It can be on the stair steps, yeah. Yep. Hey, Dart, can you guys sit kind of in the front? I'm going to sit here so you can see the stories. So we're going to read a story that's about birds, and any kid who wants to hold a bird during the story is welcome to.
This guy chirps.
This chirps, yes. All right. Can you guys get so you can hear the story I'm going to read? How many people here know the name for a kind of bird? Amber.
It's not live, but
That's okay.
well, I guess a penguin. That's
Yeah. Adar.
Crow.
Crow, yep. Any other names for birds?
Owl, robin.
Yep. Chickadee. All right, Woodpecker. Yep, so we're going to hear a story called Crow Not Crow, which is a story of a girl learning the name for her first bird. That's true, Dar. Okay. Okay, Crow Not Crow. You're going to need to be quiet, okay? You're going to be quiet. Thanks. Crow Not Crow by Jane Yolen and Adam Stempel. The first day Dad took me out birding, the sky was the color of Mom's old pearl ring. The trees were draped with birds. It was very noisy. My brothers all love to go out birding with Dad. They don't have any trouble telling one bird from another. But to me, birds look pretty much the same. Wings, beak, and legs. And sometimes when I see them flying far away, they are just blurs against the sky. Maybe the boys have better eyes, I said. Dad handed me a pair of small binoculars just the right size for my hands. Your eyes are fine, he told me. You just have to learn how to see and what to look for. He pointed to a line of bugs at my feet. What do you see there? Ants. And there, he said, a squirrel.
No, that's not.
Darda, it's okay, honey. Hey, sweetie, I know. I'm skipping some words on purpose. Thank you. It's okay. And there, he pointed out at the meadow where birds hopped on the ground and perched in the trees and soared across the morning sky. Birds, I asked? Dad nodded. It all begins with crow, not crow. What begins? Birding, he said. We trudged into the meadow. All around us, birds were singing, hollering really. As we walked through the grass, we scared some of the birds up into the air. Before I was able to get my binoculars up to my eyes, those birds were gone. Fast, I whispered. But one bird didn't fly off. It was as black as a night without any moon or stars. Sitting on a tree branch, the bird glared down at me and opened its beak. What do you think it said? Caw, caw, it said. Dad pointed at it. Crow, he said. Crow, I repeated, and smiled just a little. Now find him in your binoculars, Dad whispered, as we knelt carefully to make ourselves small and be very still. The only parts of me moving now were my arms as I put the binoculars up to my eyes. The crow was suddenly huge. Tell me what you see, Dad said. A big black bird. Is it all black? The crow was so big, I had to move the binoculars around to see all of him. His wings are black. I took a deep breath. His legs are black. I took another look. Even his beak is black. And, Dad whispered, he's all black. I whispered back, all. Lowering my binoculars, I watched him fly away. His wingtips spread out like long black fingers. Crow, I named it, owned it. Yeah. We walked through the meadow to a marshy stream. A black bird with a red and yellow band on its wing sat on a cattail. He's very black, I said. Crow? Did the crow have a red medallion on his wing? Think back to what you saw before. Picture it in your head. I thought about the crow. All black, black legs, black beak, black wings, black. I shook my head. Not crow, Dad said. A flock of blackbirds settled into a field beyond the stream. I put my binoculars up. Their feathers were dotted with white like stars in the night sky.
Why would they think that?
You got it. Crow? I didn't take my binoculars off of them. What color are their beaks, Dad asked, even though I was sure he knew the answer. Yellow, I said, and they have stars on their feathers. Not crow, Dad said. I looked at the knot crows and tried to really see them. Their yellow beaks, their night sky feathers. I spotted one in the flock that was different. It had plain black feathers and a dark beak. Hey, I whispered loudly, there's a different bird in there. Taking a deep breath, I steadied my binoculars. It's all black. Is it? I looked again, squinted, stared. At last I said, no, its head is brown. Not crow, Dad said. Not crow, I repeated. Not crow, I yelled. No.
Why?
Pointing at the fork-tailed birds twisting over the meadow.
Why?
Not crow at a yellow bird on a fence post with a V on its chest. Not crow at a wide-winged bird soaring over our heads. I laughed and ran, and Dad took big steps to keep up. I'm going to keep that down, okay?
Why?
Because I decided to skip that part. Suddenly, there he was, peering with one black eye down at me from the branch of a maple tree. Caw, caw, he said. Crow, I named him. Dad agreed. Crow. Crow, I said. I see him, Dad. I really see him. I know, Dad said. He put his hand on my shoulder, but lightly, so he wouldn't shake my binoculars. I see him too. Eventually, my binoculars got heavy. Eventually, the crow flew off. Eventually, we headed for home, sometimes walking, sometimes pretending to fly. On the bird feeder near our kitchen window sat a red bird with a tiny crest on its head. Not crow, I said, a bit out of breath. We'd walked a long way.
It's this.
And birding is hard work. Seeing, really seeing, is even harder. But this afternoon, or maybe tomorrow, I might learn a new bird. Maybe sparrow, not sparrow. Maybe owl, not owl. And the next day, another. Till I'm as good a birder as my brothers, or better. All right, the end.
Morning has come, night is away. Both the sun
And welcome the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome
more time.
the day. Morning has come, night is away. Rise with the sun and welcome the day.
The story Crow, Not Crow resonates with me on more than one level. On one level, it's a story of deeply noticing the natural world. I ordered this book to read with my children during the first year of the pandemic. We had gotten into the habit of watching birds through our family room window. This led to us getting a bird feeder to attract more birds, and eventually to joining a citizen science project in which we named and counted the birds we saw each week. It was a special experience of deeply seeing nature as a family, in a way we hadn't before, and honestly haven't since. On another level, Crow Not Crow resonates with me because it's a story of learning, both its challenges and its joys. At the beginning of the story, the child is frustrated because she can't identify any birds. At the end, she experiences the thrill of having learned her first bird, the exhilaration of having her foot in a door that felt closed to her. The key to that learning was the rule that her father created for her, the rule of crow, not crow. Through that rule, her father reduced the complex task of learning the names of many birds to the simpler one of deciding whether each bird was a crow or not. Maybe you can think of a time in which you were in the role of the parent in Crow Not Crow. Maybe you were a parent yourself, or a relative, an educator, a friend, trying to help someone learn something that didn't come easily to them. And maybe you can think of a time in which you were the child in the story, wanting to learn something that did not come easily to you, and needing something, your own Crow Not Crow rule, to help you get started. For many years, I have wanted a Crow Not Crow rule to help me get started in living with anger. Ever since I was a child, anger has been one of the major challenges of my life. The way I'm wired, anger sparks easily and can escalate quickly and is hard to manage. I've gotten better at managing anger as I've gotten older, but it's still hard. The experience of anger can also be hard to understand. Anger can feel like a jumble of beaks and wings and claws, and it can be difficult to distinguish the creatures within and name them and figure out what to do with them. There are different forms of anger. There's anger that stems from witnessing injustice and violence in the world. This form of anger can feel righteous, a sign that we are good, that our moral compasses are working, and it can also lead to change in the world. This is the form of anger that we have hymns about and often hear from the pulpit. It's clear that this form of anger has a place in our spiritual lives. And then there is everyday anger. Anger at the inconveniences, exhaustion, and stress of daily life, at family members and friends and colleagues, and at ourselves. Very few of us want to feel this kind of anger. It's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant. Instead of making us feel righteous, it can make us feel ashamed. And when anger is expressed through unkind words or silent contempt, it hurts the people around us and our relationships with them. Many of us have internalized messages about everyday anger, that if we experience a flicker of anger, we should promptly snuff it out. And if that doesn't work and we start to feel truly angry, our goal should be to manage our anger. And this means using strategies to make sure that we don't hurt others through how we express our anger. Ideally, we would manage our anger so well that it would be imperceptible to others. And if we don't manage our anger well, it's a sign of bad character. Even young children who show their anger are sometimes perceived as bad. So the message is that anger is bad and it should be suppressed. With these messages, how could we integrate the experience of everyday anger into our spiritual lives? This poem by the Unitarian minister, Stephen M. Schick, has a different view of anger. Useful anger. A good anger swallowed clots the blood to slime. Marge Piercy. But what is to be done with it, the anger that dare not be swallowed? Should it be diluted with denial, cooled with indifference? Should it be sweetened with good intentions, softened with lies? Should it be spewed out red hot over searing tongues, scorching the guilty and innocent alike? What's to be done with it, the anger that dare not be swallowed? Don't dilute it, deny it, or cool it. Don't sweeten it or soften it, but pause for a moment. Could you hold it before your eyes? Examine it with your heart and mind. Could you hold it, then touch it to your belly, that place where your soul rests? Could you let it enter there, knowing it is the part of you that needs to be treated kindly, that needs to be listened to, that needs to be honored? For it has the power to save you, to save us all. How profoundly different. Anger is not bad, anger is useful. Anger is telling us something we need to know. Rather than snuffing out a flicker of anger, we can hold it before our eyes and be curious about it. We can examine anger with our minds and learn about it like we might learn new birds. Rather than seeing anger as a sign of bad character, we can hold it gently and honor it. To be clear, this does not mean honoring unkind, cruel, or violent expressions of anger. It's our responsibility to live with anger in a way that prevents them. Instead, by honoring anger, we honor the inner experience of anger and what it has to say. How do we do this? A few years ago, I began to keep an anger journal. I followed exercises from the book Mindful Anger by the psychotherapist Andrea Brandt. I'll be sharing one that I adapted at the end of this sermon. In the anger journal, I wrote down everything I could about the times that I became angry. What exactly happened that triggered my anger? How the anger felt inside my body? What I did with my anger, whether I held it inside or expressed it to someone else. And from these entries, I began to see patterns. Learning about anger in all its quirks and complexities has brought a sense of curiosity and exploration, and occasionally even joy, to one of my life's great challenges. I learned about the range of sensations and impulses and thoughts that can accompany my anger. For those of you like me who tend to live in your mind and are less in tune with your body, studying your anger can be a great way to bridge that divide because anger is very physical. Before I started the journal, I could only identify the sensation of strong anger, the anger that I knew I needed to manage. Now I can recognize physical sensations associated with tiny flickers of anger and with anger that is starting to escalate. My body even has a way to signal me about the times I'm considering appropriately expressing my anger to others. While at first I could only recognize these signals in retrospect, over time I've become better at noticing the sensations of anger as they happen. This gives me the chance to stop and listen to my anger and make intentional choices about whether and how to express it, rather than letting it escalate outside of my conscious awareness. This is definitely a work in progress. Learning to really see anger can be challenging. Snuffing out anger is a hard habit to break. While working on this service, I sometimes became frustrated by the many tasks that were new, difficult, or anxiety-provoking, and at myself for how I was managing them. And in spite of the topic of this sermon, I tried repeatedly to snuff out those flickers of anger. Eventually, I did realize what I was doing and remembered to listen to what my anger had to say. And it said something simple: this is a lot. I've learned that although the inner experience of anger can feel uncomfortable or even scary, the messages that anger sends are usually simple and even sympathetic. This is a lot. I am overwhelmed. I need a break. I need sleep. I need quiet. I need to get somewhere on time. I need help. I need to feel seen. I need to feel respected. I need to feel like I belong. I need to feel like I'm loved. When I can hear these simple messages through the churning waves of anger, it can be much easier to treat the anger itself kindly. I'd like to invite you to join me in an exercise adapted from the book Mindful Anger by Andrea Brandt. If you'd like to try the exercise, please get comfortable, and you may want to close your eyes. Take a moment to remember a recent time in which you felt angry or irritated or frustrated. How did you know that you were angry? What did the anger feel like in your body? What thoughts were running through your mind? If you showed your anger to others, how did you do so? Take a moment to listen to your anger. What was your anger telling you? What did you need at that moment? Now, can you hold your anger gently? Can you see it as the part of yourself that needs to be listened to and treated kindly? Your anger is not bad. Your anger is useful. You are good despite your anger. Our words of welcome, just as you are welcome here, invite us into community even when we're not at our best, when we are exhausted, stressed, irritated, when we might even rather be somewhere else. Being held in community in those moments can be really powerful. May our congregation be a place where we can bring our full selves, our love, and our anger, rather than leaving parts of ourselves at the door. Please join me in singing hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Lives.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. Feast and others serve, for services we give, for roots and rewards, for hours of rest and love, we build praise and thanks. For all that is our life. Sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. And all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
We come together in community to hold our joys and sorrows together, to share our strength and ease one another's burdens, to be known and loved in community. I invite you to come forward and light candles for your joys and sorrows, and if you choose, to speak your joy or sorrow briefly into the microphone. We will begin with our in-person attendees, and then I will invite those attending by Zoom to share as well. I will light candles in the sanctuary for you. Please only speak the joys and sorrows that are personal to you unless you have been asked to speak by another, and light candles in silence for the things that affect us all. I will light our first candle today, holding 6 months of the war in Israel and Gaza, for all of those we've lost, those who are grieving, those who are fearing for their safety, and for the safety of their loved ones.
For our meditation, words from Adam's slate. Spirit of life, spirit of love, spirit of hope, spirit of justice, God known by many different names. You have given us a day unique from any other. You have connected us, all of us, with each other and with the world in ways that are largely a mystery to us. You have given us little instruction other than to be present in our own lives, to feel wonder at the creations of the universe, and to love one another. You have put gifts and challenges in our paths, joys and sorrows, strengths and frailties, some of which we have already encountered, and others we have yet to discover. On this unique day, may we receive exactly what it is that we need. Amen.
I invite you to join me in the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
This day we come once more together, as with our birth, all for thy names, like you alone, for the strength of this circle, may we come rejoicing, determined, united in
Love holds you. It bears witnesses to all your inherent worth and dignity. It witnesses how you try, succeed, and fail, and it does not flinch. Love will not let go. Love holds all of you. Go in peace.